If you are open to doing self-care in a different way, you may be pleasantly surprised. We can change our lives by consistently meeting our needs in a variety of ways.
Hey there, mamas. Welcome to the Mom Care Coach podcast. And I am your host, Victoria Mattia. I am a certified life and health coach, certified international counselor, and also a homeschooling autism mom and former autism clinic director. I know that you are struggling with holding healthy boundaries around time management, constantly getting less than adequate sleep, and managing deep exhaustion and overwhelm. And you are praying to find a way to have more energy throughout your day. Well, friend, you have come to the right place. In this show, we will talk about how you can guide yourself through a process of self-care strategies that will lead you to the health solutions that you as an autism mom have been searching for, and how providing for your 4 intentional needs, sleep, movement, nutrition, and mindset, can help you avoid burnout. So grab this morning's leftover matcha or pour another cup of your homemade kombucha and pull up a chair, and let's have a chat on how these health solutions can change your life. One more thing. Would you like to know more about the online coaching services and health bundles that I offer? If so, please do not hesitate to reach out. My email is mindfulwellnessforautismmoms@gmail.com. Again, mindfulwellnessforautismmoms@gmail.com. And of course, it's also listed in the show notes. Thank you, and I look forward to hearing from you. Now on with our show. Hello everyone, it is Victoria, and you are on the Mom Care Coach podcast. So today we are going over episode number 3, and the title of it is The ABCs of Self-Care for Autism Moms. So our one big idea is that we can create the self-care practices that we want, even if it looks different. Okay, so different than what? Well, it can be different than what you had in mind, different than what other families that you think are doing for their self-care practices. It could be anything, right? Sometimes we have an image in our mind of what we think is typical or what we think is best, and actually it may not be quite that way. But if you are open to getting your needs met in a variety of different ways, and even if it's different, you can still meet that goal. Okay, so I have a personal story. So years ago, I'd say probably about 7 years ago, I wanted to start a new morning routine. Well, at that time, it was the beginning of the whole, to my knowledge, personal development, self-development community, when everyone was trying to do the 4 a.m. club, the 5 a.m. club, all of that. And I really wanted to do a really great morning routine. And what I had seen was that other people were doing this 5 a.m. club. So I wanted to be a part of it. Okay. So you may ask why? Why on earth does an autism mom want to be a part of a 5 a.m. club? Well, I thought that was the only way. I hadn't seen it done differently. And so I thought I would try it out. So the issue was, I really thought that the problem was that I was struggling with time management, but actually it wasn't time management. It was self-care, the lack thereof, actually. So I have some interesting things for you. So we kind of talked about the definition of self-care last time in episode number 2, that it was taking care of yourself physically, emotionally, and mentally. So today I thought it would be interesting to kind of talk about self-love. So self-love, according to Google, that is, self-love is a positive regard for yourself, okay? And an appreciation of your own worth and well-being. So That sounds good. And it kind of reminds me of a verse in the Bible, and I believe that is found in Matthew chapter 22, verse 39. And the second part of it reads, "You shall love your neighbor as yourself." Okay, so that tells me that self love is a part of self care. And it kind of sounds like, according to that verse, that it's more of a commandment. We're actually supposed to love our neighbor as ourselves. Well, if I don't really show love for myself, then how can I love my neighbor? How can I love anyone? So that's something I started asking. I had actually seen a little reel, I think it was a little clip of a whole webinar class, and she had used that verse and she was talking about it, and I was really fascinated because I had never really thought of self-love or self-care in that way. So when we think of the fact that actually we are supposed to love our neighbor as ourselves, well, that means that we really need to have an understanding of what it means to love ourselves. Wouldn't you agree? Okay, so going back to my story about 7 years ago when I really wanted to start this morning routine. So, what I actually started doing, I know this sounds crazy, I was trying to get up early, but it was during a time in our lives and with myself and my family. My oldest child, he just would not sleep past 3:30 in the morning. So every morning, he that was the time that he was getting up, was 3:30 a.m. And that was not a solid time period. So we would put him to bed at a certain time and he would be up several times throughout the night, which of course means that I would be up several times throughout the night. And at the same time, I had this desire to have a morning routine because I thought if I could just get a morning routine, then I could help myself with time management because I always felt tired and I just wasn't putting all of the pieces together because the truth of the matter was I was struggling with deep exhaustion. And partially it was due because of a lack of sleep, but also I also had a lot of sensory overload, which was due to being on my phone all the time and drinking lots of caffeine. I actually, guys, was drinking probably around a gallon of caffeine a day. I mentioned in the last episode that I was really struggling at this time period because I was exhausted, I was tired, I was on my phone all the time, I was drinking tons of caffeine, and I wasn't eating as well as I knew that I should. I had gone back to school to be a health coach, certified health coach and life coach, which is how I practice today. But the issue was there's a difference between having head knowledge and actually having the knowledge and the intention and the ability and the understanding on how to walk that out. And in the time period of that time in our lives where none of us in the household was getting very much sleep, always exhausted, always running around, working full time, having my kids running them to daycare. It was just a really difficult time, plus the fact that we just weren't doing well, just physically. We were having a lot of struggles. Myself mostly, but also I know my kids would get sick from time to time, and it had to do with sleep and all of those different kinds of things as well. So for them, I helped them with some really great supplements and started to kind of change up their schedule a little bit. And then, of course, as you know, I decided to be a stay-at-home mom and homeschool. However, at that time it was really, really tough, and I had to get really honest about what I was doing with my body and if I was practicing self-love, which of course you're not, right? If you're drinking that much caffeine, you're probably not getting enough water, and caffeine can dehydrate the body. So I had to make some real different choices. And that brings us up to our topic for today, which is the ABCs of being an autism mom. So I knew and understood rather, I needed to make some real choices. I just didn't know where to start. And I was just really struggling in that way. And so back to the idea of my morning routine, I created this acronym to help me. And actually, I used this acronym not just with the morning routine, but I wound up using it in all different areas of my life. So, guys, I'm going to get really tactical with you for a moment, okay? So, the ABCs of being an autism mom. So, the A stands for affirm what you really want. I really wanted a new morning routine, but I realized I was going to have to do it different than a lot of other families that didn't have children with disabilities. I needed to show up in a different way. And so I needed to create a way for myself and to believe that I could, but it was going to look different. Okay, so would you like to know what I did? Okay, so let me give you first an example. So the example is this. You may want to start working out a couple times a week, but you are doing it because what you really want is sustained energy throughout the day. So what do you do? How can you create and build self-care routines in your week in order for that to happen? For me, I needed to decide, what do I want to do during that morning routine? So asking yourself really important questions, that starts us out, right? So for me, I had to come up with just a couple things, 3 or 4 things that I would like to accomplish during that morning routine. Okay, so I knew for certain I wouldn't be able to do like a full 30 minutes of a morning routine when it came to if I wanted that to just be like my fitness or my movement. So I said, hey, but what if I could do a 10-minute morning routine, a 10-minute movement exercise rather, okay? So I wanted to do some Pilates and I wanted to free myself up to just starting with 10 minutes and see how we could build that into my routine. Second thing, I really wanted to be able to get hydrated first thing in the morning. So I actually started setting out my water the night before, and I would make it fun. I would put it in a pretty glass and I would put either like some mint leaves in it or some cinnamon sticks in it or some lemon in it, depending on what I was in the mood for, or maybe even some orange slices. I kept it simple, I made it pretty, and I brought joy into my morning, okay? So that is something that we can do. So first, affirm what it is we really want. So as you can see, this can really transfer over to really any part of your life, right? Okay, B, build a bridge. So what is a bridge? It is like a road that is connecting 2 points, right? Okay, so build a bridge, meaning what resources will you need? Well, if you're looking for, going back to my example of a morning routine, well, if you have a really supportive partner, maybe you could ask them, say, hey, babe, I just need 10 minutes in the morning so that I can do like a fitness routine. Can you help me out? Okay. So that's one option, because remember, your spouse is your ally. So that is one option. But for me, guess what? I'm a single mom, so that was not accessible to me. So what I would do? I would think about different transitions in our day, in our morning routine, because remember, I was still working outside of the home at this time. I would think about, what could I do? Well, I remember as I was getting dressed and everything, I would let my kiddos watch a little program. And so I decided, well, I'll allow them to watch that little program and I can get in just a quick morning workout. And so even if it's just 7 minutes, 7 to 10 minutes, if you're doing that consistently, since consistency matters, okay? So if you're doing that consistently, it's going to really help you. Okay, so that was one option. Drinking water when I first got up made it simple, and it wasn't something I forgot about because I had already prepared it the night before. So when you're thinking about building a bridge, you want to think about what is it that you actually need. Do you need respite care? Is that an option for you? Can you have someone come into your home during certain times of the day or certain times of the week? There's a lot of state programs that will help people, that will pay the actual respite care worker. You can also go through your insurance. So that is another option. And then the third thing for the C in our acronym is connect. Okay, so, and honestly, this is really the most important thing in my opinion. It is connect the mindset that you need to have in order to create a plan and keep it. Why do I say keep it? The reason why I say that is because it's really easy to create a plan, try it a couple times, and maybe it doesn't work out quite the way you hoped. And so when that happens, it's really easy to think, okay, maybe it's not working, or maybe I need to try something else. If we create a plan and we keep it, we need to take an amount of time. We need to decide, okay? Decide the amount of time that you want to give it to see if it's actually working or not. And we need to practice consistently with what we've already decided we are going to do. So we need to have this mindset that, hey, I can have what I want. I can be successful, but we need to create space to allow that to happen. So there is an old saying that says, whether you think you can or you think you cannot, you are right, okay? There's also another saying where how you do anything is how you do everything. And so just think about that. I remember several years ago hearing that from an industry leader that is in my industry when it comes to some of the products that I sell on my website. And I remember her saying that, and I remember that is so powerful. And it's so important to understand that we have to have the right mindset to be able to create the life we want and to meet the goals that we have for ourselves and for our families, but especially for ourselves, because we are in control of ourselves. No one is in control of what we think, what we believe. Okay, those are things that we are 100% in control of. And so as we kind of wrap up this mini episode, I say mini because it's only, 15, 16 minutes, and our second episode was like 30 minutes. So as we wrap up this episode, we want to really empower ourselves by understanding that it is so important to believe the right things in order for us to meet our goals. We want to be able to line up with the truth in order to have success. And the truth is that we can create the self-care practice that we want and that we need, and our needs are valid. So, of course, today we are really only scratching the surface because this is such a vast topic, self-care, and self-love. So each week, remember, we will be studying a different aspect of this beautiful subject, okay? And of course, I want to mention again, so if you're feeling like you would like more support in these areas, I would love to support you. So first, I have a new Facebook group that you can go and join. It's called the Mom Care Coach, okay? And it will be listed in the show notes. And also, if you would like more information on my coaching services and health bundles, please email me and I will share that information with you also in the show notes of my email address. If you have a good memory, I will mention it here again right now. And then also you can just scroll down and look in the show notes. It is mindfulwellnessforautismmoms mindfulwellnessforautismmoms@gmail.com. So mindful wellness for autismmoms@gmail.com. Okay, so I love creating these episodes for you. Also, don't forget to go over on social, Facebook, Instagram. I'm also on TikTok. And if you would like to just share a little bit of how this particular episode has blessed you, or if you have some ideas, or, just I want to interact, that's really great. And I would like to just talk with you, okay? So I hope that you have a great day. Thank you so much. All of the information again is listed in the show notes. And until next time, peace and be well. Goodbye.
Thank you so very much for listening in. If you have learned something new today or have been blessed by this show in any way, please share it with a friend. And don't forget to head over to iTunes and leave a 5-star review. And feel free to take a screenshot and tag me on Instagram, and I will tag you back. Thank you and be well.